Hello there, and welcome to You Had Me at No TV. I'm your host, Boundary Sage Sheryl Green. I'm the author of You Had Me at No: How Setting Healthy Boundaries Helps Banish Burnout, Repair Relationships, and Save Your Sanity. And I am super excited to introduce my guest for today's episode, Breathe into Boundaries. Leticia Escamilla is a certified meditation teacher, mindset coach, and the author of the Me Time Journal. Leticia, I'm going to have a hard time with that the whole time, just because we're recording, created Mind Fuel in Motion to bring more mindfulness to the workplace. She empowers organizations that want to invest in their team's personal growth, create a positive work environment, and give employees the tools to lead healthier and happier lives. I had the pleasure of taking one of her powerful workshops last year, and we've since become friends. I asked her to come on with me today to share how mindfulness can help us set boundaries. But before we get to that, Leticia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Cheryl. I'm so excited.
Hey. All right, so I'm a little flustered today. So, can you start us off with a very quick breathing exercise? And let's just get everyone centered and into the right state of mind to learn and to grow.
Yes. So, really quickly, I know we're supposed to be breathing, but I quickly just want to play. So, can we just put our arms in the air and just shake? Just shake your arms. I know Cheryl wasn't ready for this. She's like, I thought we were going to breathe.
It's all good. It's all good. Exercise is good too.
So, moving the body actually helps just release any energy that kind of stagnant that didn't get moved if we're like sitting at the desk all day or we're accumulating things. So this will actually help with our breathing a little bit more, help us go a little bit deeper. And so that's why, so one arm up, one arm down, so you can really feel the effects. And then we'll switch.
I feel like
And
I'm
then round, both arms up, really let loose. There's no need. There you go. Move the head, the shoulders up and down, really release. And then go ahead and just put your arms down. And I'm just going to invite you to put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And now you can close your eyes and just take a deep breath in, starting at the base of the belly, and just have it travel up, expanding the rib cage. And you can feel the belly rising with your hand there. And then as it travels up, you can feel the chest expand. And just let the breath continue to go as far up as it can, that's comfortable for you. And then gently let it descend back down out of the nose, letting the breath just fully leave the body. We'll take one more round just like that. Deep breath in, letting the belly rise, the ribs expand, the chest rises into the hand, and it continues to go all the way up, up, up as far as it can go. And when you're ready, let it descend out the nose, out the body, letting go. And once the breath has fully left the body and you're ready to breathe in, I'm just going to invite you now, just for a few moments. Every time the breath comes in the body, you'll repeat to yourself, I am breathing in. And every time the breath leaves the body, just repeat, I am breathing out. I am breathing in. And I am breathing out. And breath can come in through the nose, and the exhales can be yogi's choice, nose or mouth. Just repeating, I am breathing in with the inhales, and I am breathing out with the exhales. We'll just do this for just a few more moments on your own. And to bring ourselves back, we'll take a deep breath in, just like we did before, letting the belly rise, the ribs, the chest, letting that breath travel all the way up. And as you descend the breath out of the body, you can bring your hands back in your lap and slowly and gently opening your eyes, bringing yourself back to the space.
That was awesome.
Feeling, Cheryl?
It always amazes me how powerful breathing can be, even though it's something that we do every day and theoretically
Mhm.
we know how to do.
Right,
But
right.
I love that. Okay. And I love the breathing in and breathing out. I've done counts, I've done all the different mantras, but that's just like, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. I love,
Yeah.
I love.
And that's the whole idea because it keeps you present with your body, with the breath, with what you're doing, which is just focusing on you and the breath that's literally coming in and out. And that was the whole idea for you to not think about all the things that happened today and all the things that you got to do later on, right? It's just like, nope, I'm right here. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. So,
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. What a good way to start. I feel like all podcasts need to start that way. Okay, so tell us a little bit like what do you do? What do you do with your business and how did you get into this?
what I like to tell people, Cheryl, is that I help you reduce stress and increase your peace, balance, and well being by providing fun and engaging mindfulness workshops and on-stage presentations. So that's the elevator pitch, right? That's the spiel that I give everyone. But why I do this is because a little under 10 years ago, I just met my now husband, who was a new partner at the time, a new flourishing relationship. And we also at that time decided to birth a business. And during that time, a lot of stress and overwhelm was coming over me because I never birthed a business before. And this was all new. And there's so many things that you learn. And I also was realizing that starting a business is also a form of development. So all this stuff was just starting to come up, all this gunk, all this, a mirror was basically being presented in front of me. And I didn't like the person that was reflecting back. I wasn't, happy with that person. And I realized that this is something special is happening. This person is special. Starting a business is really cool and different. And I could tell there was something to this, but I couldn't be the same person I was. That I was at that time if I wanted these things to work. And so they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And for me, the teacher was mindfulness, and it appeared as meditation and yoga, journaling, breath work, all the woo woo things. And I was open and ready to receive it. And, when you do these practices, they're not instantaneous, right? It isn't right. We're not going to go into that breath work and go, oh my gosh, I have found the light and I know all the things, right? But it's a step forward. It was an experience. And when we do this, what I've learned, the key to it all is consistency, consistency, consistency. Doing what we did in just that short amount of time. I don't know how much time we actually did that for. Maybe, I know it was over a minute because I actually was counting inside 30 seconds when I let you guys go on your own because I'm the guide, right? But I was in it with you. So we were over a little bit of a minute probably. And in that minute, even I could feel just the shift in you, the shift in me, and doing that every single day. And so I realized over time as I was doing these practices that I was then starting to have astronomical shifts because I was stacking, stacking, stacking every single day doing these practices. And I started to change. My relationships changed, the way I viewed myself changed, the way I viewed the world changed. And I was like, ooh, there's something to this. And it became more of a journey for me, but then also a calling. But at the end of the day, Cheryl, to be honest, who I truly am to the core is still to this day the student.
Yeah, I love that. And I think so many of us go into whatever our specialty and our expertise is because we need to learn it and then we feel called to teach it. Mm.
Absolutely. Then it's like
Same
this
thing.
like pulling of a call, right? You or a pushing, I don't know, whichever way
Yeah.
it is. It's a sudden, like, you will go out there and tell the world, and you're like, I will? Like,
Sure.
hey world, and then it becomes a whole nother type of like things you got to work through. And I really feel honored. I feel most in alignment at this point in my life to go out and, yeah, share wherever I'm being led to share. And that was the biggest thing I learned, especially in this work, is it's really easy to be like, hey, do journaling and do breath work because it's awesome and it helps. And you can't just kind of like spray that at everyone. You gotta kind of see who's ready for it, and maybe plant little seeds here and there. And then now realizing, like, I have to tell the people or the world what I do. And then the ones that feel called to that and magnetized to that and say, hey, come do what you do here. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so it's permission, right? Like, okay, now we can talk, now we can have the conversation. So
I love that. And look, you mentioned woo. Why can't I speak today? You mentioned woo woo. There we go.
you got
Earlier.
it.
And I know that there's going to be some people between your friends and my friends. We're going to have like woo approved audience. But there's also those people out there that don't necessarily love the spiritual components or the woo components. But I think it's important to mention that mindfulness is very scientifically based. Like, there is a lot of research out there that mindfulness is a thing. I'll just put it that way. And I'll let you speak to that because you'll sound much more intelligent than I just did.
Yeah, it's both, right? It's the science and the spiritual, and honestly, they do come together. But at the end of the day, we know that when we take time to slow down and be more present, we gain clarity. We know that when we slow down for a moment, we can actually take a deep breath in and really see things for the way they are. And, at the end of the day, if you're a science person or you're the spiritual person, the reason why I love doing the work I do, and I do it the way I do it in workshops and even on stage, like if I'm on stage, you're still going to do these practices. We don't even have to be sitting on, our yoga mats and doing it. We can be in an auditorium or wherever we're seated in a chair and do some of exactly what I did. We're going to shake our arms. We can breathe because we don't need to do anything, right? You're fully equipped. So the whole idea of what I share is that I'm just helping you rediscover the tools you already have within you, your body, your breath, and how to actually work the mind so you're controlling it and it's not controlling you. And that's the problem, right? Like, we let our mind control us because we're letting the outside world influence us. And the mind is like, oh, I like that. And we just go off. So that's the way I explain it, because I'm not really into the scientific part, and I don't really dive too deep into the spiritual part when I'm talking about it. I just go, let's experience it for yourself. Like, let's take a moment to go for a walk. I mean, that could be the practice, right? Going for a walk doesn't mean, you're thinking about God or whatever, right? It's just go for a walk.
Mhm.
Just go for a walk, get some sunshine, get some fresh air, and see how you feel when you come back. That's it. And then you just did the practice. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's it. Yeah.
Um,
Not that woo woo if you think about it. Like, go for a walk, you're all like, at the end, you're going to be like, woo, maybe it's that woo woo, but, and it depends on how deep you want to go. And I think at the end of the day, it's woo woo because, you know, maybe the form of like sitting in a lotus pose, or the idea of going into this perfect like zen place. And the whole idea of it, that was I don't know if you heard that alarm, that's like my reminder to breathe, so did it. Um but the whole idea is not the outside world creating the zen, it's the inside world that we're trying to create zen in. And the way that it's portrayed, because that's the way people understand, is that like, oh, I need to have the stacked rocks, I need to have water trickling, I need to have a waterfall nearby. And it's like, that is great. If you've ever done it, it's beautiful, right? But can you have that same sense of flow that water brings within you? That's the whole thing, right? So we need to give people the image outside for them to bring them back inside. So that's kind of my way of sharing it.
I like it. Yeah, I love the water trickling, but it just makes me pee, and then I have to get up in the middle of meditation. So
Yeah,
doesn't
there you
work.
go.
Doesn't
So
work.
turn off the
Uh,
water, right?
you mentioned earlier the concept of slowing down, and that's actually why I wanted to have you on today and why I wanted to interview you. Because in my boundary work and in my teaching, I talk about yes vomit. And
Mm,
some people don't like that. Some people think that's gross. Oh well. Um, but
just
for us,
just gonna let you know.
us people pleasers out there, we have this like automatic response that before somebody has even finished asking the question or the favor or giving the invite or whatever it may be, that yes is already flying out of our mouths. And it's like this automatic, autonomic response.
Mhm.
And in order to combat that, in order to, create and make intentional decisions, we have to pause and we have to be able to kind of look inside ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to talk to you. Like, what what techniques would you suggest for us to slow down, become mindful of where we are and what we want, which is really hard for some people, and to give ourselves that space to make those intentional decisions?
Yeah, I think what comes up for me is compassion. That's the word that comes up. Ooh, sorry about that. The technical difficulties. So compassion, right? Like just giving yourself compassion to honor the time that you may need to answer that question. You
Okay.
know, it's like for me, I can only go by my experience. So when someone asks me something, sometimes I literally know the answer, and let's say it's no, right? That's the one that no one wants to say, right? And you wrote the book on it. So I'm kind of preaching to the choir, right? But those that are listening maybe still trying to figure out boundaries. You and I have a clear understanding of that. So even though I don't I mention that in workshops as well. So say I say no, or I know it's no, right? Sometimes I just need to give myself a pause, not to just to say no, but to do it in a way that's compassionate to myself. Be like, okay, how do what one honoring like, okay, I'm gonna say no. Like I know this is a no, but then because I gotta be okay with it for myself first, and then go and say, hey, you know what, and just you got to figure out that way of just like, you know what, like it doesn't align with my calendar. It doesn't, I have, I'm planning to rest that day, or, just being honest with the person that you're saying no to. And one of the things that I teach in workshop, and you know this as well, is by us saying no to something, honestly gives the opportunity for someone else to say yes, right? If you are saying yes all the time, it is going to eventually lead to regret. It's going to lead to all these trickling things. And then you're actually blocking someone's opportunity to take that for that opportunity for them. Just because it was presented to you doesn't mean that it was meant for you, right? Maybe that person needs to know they can't come to you all the time. Maybe they need to get out of their comfort zone and be like, oh, well, if Leticia is not saying yes, then that means who else can I reach out to that, I don't normally reach out to? Now they have to, there's all these lessons that are happening that we are not aware of. And you're not going to sit back and think, oh, I'm going to say no so they can have the lesson and, all those things, right? Like, of course not. But that would be the main thing, is like just honoring yourself and the answer, and knowing that you don't have to give the response right away. Or if you do give the response right away, you know, be okay with that response and be confident in that response.
What would you say? So for some of us, now the first like qualification that I give for whether or not you should say yes to something is, do you want to or do you have to?
Yeah. Do you want to or do you have to?
Yeah, because if the answer is no to one of those, I mean, really, or to both of those, I should say, like, you shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
Just right off the bat before we get to the other questions. But for some of us, it's really hard. We've taken on everybody else's needs. We've taken on everybody else's likes. It's difficult to really tap into who we are and what we want. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, journaling has helped me really tap in to what I want and what I don't want. Asking myself questions, being honest, right? I look at journaling as a way for me to be honest with myself. And that has been the best way for me to realize, like, oh, I don't really like this, or oh, I really like this, right? Because I'm not speaking to anyone, I'm not sharing with anyone, I'm literally just with myself, figuring this out, going through this. But it's also been meditation too, right? Sitting in that stillness and realizing, like, you get these thoughts, because that's part of it. And then all of a sudden you get this one thought that's just profound, you know and you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's why I felt this way, or why I didn't want to, or why I really wanted to, or whatever it is. So you start to learn. And the biggest thing is that we have to hang out with ourselves. We have to be in stillness. We have to be away from the noise of all the things, our family, the people, society, social media, for us to know what it is we want and what it is we don't want. And when we get clear on that, these yeses and these nos become way easier. And you'll find, what I have found is that the people that you're saying, let's say, no to, because that's usually the one, right, that we're afraid to say, or the one that kind of can maybe stir something up, if they are distraught or offended or whatever, then that's definitely the one that you need to be setting the boundary to, right? That's definitely one showing you, like, oh, you're the one I've been, I need to, you're the one who gave me that lesson I need to set boundaries to. And eventually what starts to happen is those people start to trickle off. And the more you get clear on what you want and you're honest with your responses, yes or no, you'll find, and this is just in my own experience, Cheryl, I don't know if you can agree, but that you start to find these like-minded people where it's really easy for you to go, hey, you know what, that sounds really fun, I'll think about it, and I'll let you know. And they're like, yeah, either way, you just let me know. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll text them and be like, you know what, I'm just feeling like reading a book all day and, being in my PJs, but thank you for the invite. Let me know about the next one or whatever. And they're like, okay, girl, enjoy your book. I'm like, okay, I will. Have fun at the event. And that's it.
Yeah.
And this was an easy breezy conversation. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel bad, and the same thing I noticed happens the other way around. I went to an event. I'll just share a quick story. Went to like a yoga event. I did some woo woo over the weekend. Okay, guys, won't go into it. Those aren't woo woo fans, but I did some woo woo, and a friend was there that I had actually spent most of the day with. And I was like, hey, now let's go have, oh, I already breathed. Thank you, timer. And so I was like, hey, let's keep our let's keep hanging out. And I was like, hey, let's go have some food. And she was like, yeah, okay, great. I sent her the address. We took separate cars because it was later, so that way we could go home. And all of a sudden I get a call, and she's like, you know what? I'm feeling I need to go rest. I'm realizing I'm more tired than I'm hungry. And I was like, okay, girl, like, we did a lot of work. It was some woo woo work. So I was like,
Yeah.
we did a lot tonight. Like, I totally get that. Go home, go rest. We'll catch up later. We'll rain check it. We'll go have, because there was a certain spot I wanted to take her to. I was like, it'll be there. Like, we'll go another time. So it happened the other way around. And I too wasn't disappointed. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, like she couldn't just like we plant like all these things, right? I was understanding and loving and knowing and compassionate to her, because I know that I have done that as well. And so my whole point of this is that you start to find those people in your life that are that same way, and you can have that honest conversation, like, I'm not sure yet, or it's an automatic yes, like, yes, I'll be there, and you show up and you're happy to be there. Or you just know it's no, and you're like, you know what, no, i'm not I'm not able to, or I kind of don't feel like it, or I'd rather just stay in. It's going to be raining that day, whatever, right? It goes on and on, and they're just so loving and understanding, which makes this conversation of the response so much easier. So that's what I found for me. I went on a tangent, but thank you.
It's all good. No, it's all good because you know what, like I firmly believe in I call those boundary busters and boundary buddies. They
Oh,
the people that, the boundary busters are the ones that You say like, "Hey, I'm really not feeling up to it." And they're like, "Well, why not? You said you were going to come. Why
Yeah.
now you're letting me down." And the more that you talk to them and the more that you deal with them, like you get that tightness in your chest and you're like, I don't like this. And
Yeah.
that's kind of your little like inkling, like, oh, wait a second, we might have a boundary buster here. Um, and then you've got the people on the other side that are supportive and they give you space to be you. Um,
Yeah.
and I love I love the boundary buddies in my life for sure. So thank you for bringing that up. Um, all right, so I'm hearing we breathe and we get kind of centered. We can journal, and we can take time and have compassion with ourselves and with the other person. Awesome. I love it. Just recapping. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so you've got a really cool journal out, and I've had the opportunity to look at this, and I haven't worked in it yet, but it's amazing. Tell us about it. Let me get the name right. Me Time, Mindful Moments to Reflect, Release, and Reconnect. What is it?
Yes. And here it's behind me, and it's like I think of it as like my baby.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
well with your books.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is my baby. And yeah, so I've been journaling for maybe about 8 years. And I created the journal because one, it was a powerful mindfulness tool. And when I teach in workshop, we do movement, right? Like we shook earlier, we breathe, we meditate. And those are the tools that I like to share that are within us. Like we're fully equipped. We came into this world fully equipped with everything we need to heal, to love, to navigate through this life. And the journal is the aspect that I say the tools are within. So those are the tools within, and then the tools around us. So there are tools with around us, like nature and other things like that that just kind of help with the tools we already have. And so journaling is one of those tools around us that really help with the mind to release things so that it's not swirling in our head over and over again. And there's two sides to this coin, right? There's the one side where maybe we have so many creative ideas, all these things kind of coming in and out, and we need a place to store it. Because I don't know about you, Cheryl, but I've had some great ideas that if I didn't have a place to put it down, guess what happened? There it went back into the ether. And let me just tell you, if you guys don't know what happens when it goes into the ether, it doesn't just go away and it never exists again. It goes and floats to someone else.
Yep.
To and someone at some point is going to grab it and be like, "Ooh, what a great idea." And they're going to harness it and they're going to work with it and build it and manifest it into the world. And so why can't that be you? So a journal is a great place for you to put those ideas, and that doesn't mean you work on those ideas right away, but it just means that now you have it, so when the opportunity comes up for you to take that idea, whether you're writing a book, putting together a presentation, whatever it is, you need some creative ideas for your next meeting, whatever it is, you have that place to be like, oh, I have a whole bunch of those because I wrote them down. And then there's the flip side of all the stress, all the like, logical things we're trying to, should I do this? Should I not do this? Right. It's just swirling. And a journal is a great place to put that. And so what I've realized from journaling is the biggest thing it helped me do was if exactly that reflect. It's helped me to reflect on things. It's helped me to release things. And it's helped me to reconnect back to myself. And in the journal, there are so many different things, but the main thing is that every day there's daily journaling, gratitude journaling, intention setting for the day. And then in between, I put mindfulness activities like emotional intelligence in there, how to build discipline and habits, and even set goals. And these aren't like these strict goals that we need to like, be firm on. This is the idea of setting more realistic, kind of like not loose goals, but like something that's just not so like hard and things that we know we're going to fail at. The whole point of the goals is something that we actually know we can achieve, and we just give ourselves a little bit of a challenge on it. And that was the whole idea with the journal as well, because yeah, it's helped me so much just reconnect back to myself. So when I go out in the world, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I want and what I don't want. And the outside world doesn't have so much of an influence. In fact, I have more of an influence on the outside world.
I like it. I like it. And I've been thinking this whole time, your next book should be I did some woo woo.
Oh, I'm gonna write it down.
Like, here's your like showstopper title.
I like
I
that.
did some woo woo.
And for you, do you do like, you should sit around with like authors and just like just have conversation, and then Cherylisms just come up and we're like, thank you.
I do. I should have like a Sherylism workshop. Um,
Yes,
yeah.
even your boundary sage.
I cannot take credit for that. I
Oh, really?
wish I could. I would never have called myself a boundary sage because that would have seemed like very like, well, look at me, I'm all hoity-toity. But I was on a podcast and the guy introduced me as a boundary sage, and I was like, okay, first of all, that's awesome, and I'm stealing it. And second of all, would you mind coming around to all networking events with me and introducing
Yeah,
me?
that's how I
So
feel about you. Like, come with me, because I was like, ooh, am I this sage? Like, I'm just gonna write it down in
you
my
can
journal.
do, you can be a
I'm
mindfulness sage.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try it on. How
I
it
shall
fits.
dub you. Right, you're knighted. You're officially knighted.
I love it. Yes.
But you know what? Earlier you said the word permission,
Mm,
and it's something that I keep stressing anytime I'm speaking because so many of us were never told that it's okay to say no.
mm,
We were never told that it's okay to take time for ourselves, whether it's setting boundaries and relaxing or doing mindfulness exercises or walking out or journaling or whatever it is. We were never told that that's acceptable. So,
mm,
like, one of my goals at this point is to like give permission. Like, if you've never had it before, like, I'm talking to you, like, you officially have permission to say no.
mm.
I think it's something that we all need. And it sounds silly to give people that I've probably never met and possibly never will, permission, but there it is. You got it. And I'll take permission from anybody that gives it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. That was beautiful. Yeah, we're not taught any of these things. Boundaries, mindfulness, just yeah, all the different things, and that's why we're having to go back and unlearn so much and then go back, and sometimes I feel like, I'm a kid all over again. I'm naturally just kid-like, childlike, but in some ways I feel like I'm really going into those spaces because, I've learned certain things a certain way and realizing like, oh, that's not the right way, or that's not the right way for me. And we're having to like go back, and one of the things I actually recently told my husband is like, we want to have kids, and so we're working on that. But something that came to me in meditation, this is why it's so profound, is I still need to parent myself a little bit more. And it's not that I'm immature, right? It's not that I'm very, I have two businesses. I have, I'm very, but I am childlike. I do keep that essence within me. But I realize I'm like, there's the parts of me that still need to be healed and taken care of and loved and nurtured, and in a way that I never received it, because even with present being a public speaker now, I'm learning to really get like hone in on this craft, because I know this is my gift to speak. And so I have to parent myself and say, you have to take your classes, Leticia. You have to go on stage as much. When Cheryl asks you to do that, you say yes to all the things, all the opportunities, and parenting myself and walking myself and my inner child through these things, because I never got that, opportunity to really be seen in what I excel at, or even try, and then going, okay, let's do these things. So I'm kind of parenting myself,
Mhm.
all over again. So I totally get that. So yeah, as a parent to myself, I'm giving myself permission to, and then fill in the blank, right? Say no, for example, or say yes sometimes, right? Because the yes is just, so one of the things I share in workshop too is that the no, we think the no is so bad, right? If I say no, I'm putting you down, or I don't care about you, or I don't love you. But there's times where the yes is just as bad. Because if I say yes to something and then immediately feel regret, or I'm showing up and I'm going, fudge, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Why did I do this? And so I'm showing up with this wonky energy. I'm not being at my best. I'm not giving you, the person I said yes to, my best, but I'm just showing up now because I feel like I have to because I said yes. Then that's so like, it's so unproductive in a sense to myself and to whoever I said yes to or whatever it is we're doing. Right. So the permission kind of goes both ways in a sense, but I get it though. Some of us just don't know how to say no. So we need to practice that one and we need to let off on those yeses. But yeah, being aware of how they both play a role in our life.
I truly believe that no is a gift that you give yourself and other people.
Yes.
So,
One.
um, this has been awesome. How do people get in touch with you? How do they follow
Yeah.
you? Your book? What? All the things.
All the things. So I have a website. It's the company Mind Fuel. So MindFuel in motion. That name was, I was misspelling mindful when I was doing like a post, but then it like spelled mindful. And I was like, I received that. It's now just like, boundary stage. Someone just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
type. So Mind Fuel in Motion is the website. So all the things are there. But you can definitely reach out on social media. That's also my social media. And then I'll give you my email. It's Leticia, Leticia at mindfuelinmotion.com.
I love that. And I love the mistakes that we make that turn out to be huge. I
Yeah.
was talking about boundary buddies one day on a podcast, and I accidentally said boundary bunny. And I was like, hold on a second. So I created like a cute little meme with the boundary bunny, and he's probably going to go on some swag because he's adorable, but he's got badass boundaries.
Yes. Because he just hops away from what he doesn't want to be a part of
Takes his
and go.
little cocktail.
Yeah, he just bounces to the, he's like, no, I'm cool here, but I'm gonna go over here. I love it. I love it. And it's like cute. Oh my gosh. And you could teach that to kids with the bunny.
Hmm,
It's yours.
hmm,
It's yours.
mhm,
It
mhm.
could be a puppet, it could be a stuffed animal, it could
Yeah,
be, I mean, multiple ways this bunny could exist,
yes.
or
Yeah.
all the above.
Yeah,
It could be
he's
the lamb
for
chop.
what was that? Sorry.
It could be the next lamb chop.
Oh, I love him. And you could give your boundaries through the bunny because it's easier to speak through a puppet. I've always wanted to have a puppet. Okay. This is either going to be really cool or I'm about to get very crazy. So
Or either one.
my husband is going to be like coming back to this video and be like, this is where she lost it. This is when she started communicating through a stuffed rabbit. Awesome. Awesome. So very cool. No, Leticia, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. This has
Oh,
been absolutely amazing. Guys, check out her journal. Can you get that on the website?
yep, you sure can.
Check out her journal, email her, reach out and find out where she is and where you can go see her. Her workshops are phenomenal. And I'm just going to be shaking over here. Um,
Shaking. Woo!
that's about it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please go to youhadmeatno.com. Download your free How to Say No cheat sheet. I've got people that printed it out, laminated that puppy, and stuck it on the wall because it really helps. So check that out. And thanks again. Have a great day and happy boundary setting.